Flemming, all right, fantastic. It's just, I get the vibe right now that it has a very 2015, 2016 Tom Sula, Chip Kelly vibe to where the Giants are at currently. The audience has rejected the product and we're asleep and we want change. And that's just the feeling I have. I'd seen what my rival's doing to me right now. It usurps everything that the Seahawks did to the Niners during that long run and that long drought. It's not even close. The Giants feel so many levels below the Dodgers. It sucks. Dave, how you doing, buddy? I love this team. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you in any bad spots. I love this team. I know you love this team. It means so much to this community. I'm having a really hard time with where the Giants are at right now, and it's because I'm contrasting them to clearly the class of baseball, but it's your rival. And I can't remember the last time in my life the Giants felt so far away from the Dodgers on so many levels. And I know they're hurt. I understand a lot of those things, but man, like whoever you think the best Giant is right now, I don't even know where they are on the pecking order of the Dodgers list of best players. It's tough. I don't even have a question. I'm just throwing it to you, and I'm sorry.
My guy's hurting,
I'm
Dave.
throwing a dead fish in your lap, Dave. I'm sorry.
The sky's not falling, is it, Dave?
I'm happy for you to keep talking. If you need to just keep talking, I'm a good listener. I really am. You can just keep going.
Well, Dave, Jung-Hoo Lee was like one of the few guys I was really excited, and you could see why they wanted to sign a center fielder. Matos, the young guy, he doesn't take great routes in center field. And then I'm watching in pregame, Jorge Soler takes one off the head in BP. Like, how does that even happen? We feel cursed.
Yeah, you should. I mean, it's been a bad week, that's for sure. And I do apologize if I have to sort of use my golf voice. I'm on the 6th hole at Valhalla,
not bad.
And I've got like 8 players sort of around me. So,
what a flex!
Good thing. It's a cool place to be. But if I don't sound as spirited as you do, that's probably the reason. I'm practicing my golf voice for tomorrow. I hear you. And look, I mean, who are the most important players on the Giants for not just now, but going forward? Logan Webb for sure. And Logan's fine, even though he hasn't been quite Webb-esque the last few starts. He's fine. It happens. Kyle Harrison, very positive so far. Not perfect, but
agreed.
I would say very positive. And then I think Lee and Bailey. And Lee now is probably, if he's not out for the year, he's out for a long time, maybe out for the year. And Bailey, it's scary. Like, you got to get this figured out. You can't let this linger and derail what has a chance to be a very special career. I mean, you guys have been watching closely, and you know that when he's in there, it's a different team. Like, it just totally. Everything is different about this team when Patrick Bailey is behind the plate. And when he's not, you really notice. And so that's a bummer. Like, on top of the sluggish start and whatever else, having the 2 guys on the position player side, who you sort of figure are the cornerstone guys, the most important guys for now and for the next many years, be hurt and out, sucks.
I mean, it does. And I could sell water to a whale if I really wanted to. Trust me. Believe me, I've dressed things up. I'm a married man. I know how to lie without lying, if that makes sense. I can't, I'm sitting here and 2021 is like the crowning achievement of the Farhan era. And I'm having a hard time finding something else to hang my hat on what this organization has done well in the last 6 years. Can you sell me on something that they've done well in the last 6 years that's noteworthy?
Yeah, I think they very clearly have an excellent ability to identify and help develop pitching. I think that's from whether you take the short timers like Gausman and Rodon, or the young guys like Kyle Harrison, Logan Webb, Camilo Doval, Ryan Walker, or the guys who are in the minor leagues who have made great progress, who haven't always been considered big-time prospect. Now, look, the Giants' pitching numbers right now overall don't look good, and if I were Farhan or anybody in that organization, I'd be pissed about that right now. They're way better than they're showing on the pitching side. And whether that's sloppiness, lack of concentration, just purely lack of execution, whatever you want to come up with the reason for that, I would be ticked off if I were them about the way the pitching has showed so far this year, because it's better than they've showed. But I think that is a clear strength of this group. And I think it's going to be, we're going to see more of those young guys up in the big leagues, whether Reggie Crawford's going to be here pretty soon, Wizen Hunt is going to be a good big leaguer. Like, those guys have nice futures with this team. That is a strength. But I hear what you're saying. Like, you're 6 and you want that gap to be narrowed. And I do agree with you. You watched last night. There are lots of reasons why. It's been a bad week for the Giants overall, but it's hard not to feel like the gap is really, really wide.
Talking to Dave Flemming here, a.k.a. Mr. Rogers, live from the Valhalla Golf Course for the PGA Championship. And Dave, no, it's great to hear your voice, because I do think I associate you with a calming presence within the Giants organization. Like, when I hear your voice, when you're calling a game, it relaxes me. It makes me feel like I'm a part of the game. Bob Melvin, he's the leader of that team. He is the manager of that team. How do you feel he has been handling this first kind of major crisis of the season as Giants manager?
Hard thing to evaluate. I mean, I think it's always hard, especially when you're getting to know somebody and their leadership style like we are. Like, we don't know Bob. We've known Bob for a long time. We know him personally, but as a manager up close, we don't know him. And so we're still trying to figure that out. I don't think he's the reason that whatever's happening now is happening. I don't. I think Bob has the right mix of calm and, hey, this is a long season, and I've been through this for 40 years in this game, and I know the ebbs and the flows. He knows, he realizes that, but he also, I would think that my first impression of Bob has been that he's edgier than I thought he was. He's a super competitive guy and takes it more personally than I thought he did. Like, Bob he's an edgy competitor, and I don't think I ever totally knew that about him. And I say that as a compliment. I think that's a really good thing. So I'm still, personally trying to get to know him, but I wouldn't point to him as like, have there been some moments with the bullpen, like with every manager? Yes, but there's so many things that happen that whether we can't say them on the air because a guy has gone into the office before the game and said, they can't pitch me. There are things that happen behind the scenes that the manager can't ever talk about that make him look bad. And he's often just got to bite the bullet on a lot of that stuff. And so I think Bob's fine, and he's a good leader for this franchise, and he cares deeply about the Giants. He really wants this to work, but he right now understands the issues that are going on with this team, and he's getting a little crankier by the day that they're not fixing at least the stuff that they can control.
Yeah, Dave, let me get some optimism out here. Like, it's just, I have been refreshed to see young guys playing, and they're going to make mistakes. Like, Casey Schmidt hasn't had a lot of great at-bats. It was great to see him have that walk-off the other day. But defensively, like, you could see the guy's spectacular with that arm and his range, even going to his left or his right. Ramos has been a jolt. Misplayed a ball in left field yesterday on the show. Hey, okay, that happens. Like, he's a young player. Tyler Fitzgerald has shown some strengths. Gets picked off the other day, pinch running. That happens. Like, I get it. Matos, couple of poor routes, not communicating in center field, but I'm seeing him hit that 3-run home run on the breaking ball against Yamamoto. Like, that was encouraging. To me, I want to see these young guys. I want to see them bite the bullet, and if they have to bottom out a little, then so be it. Do you think that will be their organizational philosophy, or are they going to, when these older guys start getting healthier, are they going to, send these young guys down? What's your feel on that?
I think it's too early to decide that the season is over and you're just going to play the young guys. So I don't think when Conforto's healthy, he's going back in the lineup. When Ahmed is healthy, he's going back in the lineup. Now that could change, Ahmed's one where he might not get everyday playing time like he was. If Casey shows that his at-bats are getting better, I think Schmidt, you circle him. I think it's a good point. Casey's got special defensive ability. More and more, I'm becoming convinced he can be a big league shortstop as opposed to just a third baseman, which to me really changes sort of the long-term outlook of Casey, the bar, if you can be a good shortstop, the bar offensively is lowered. And so I still think he's got a lot of upside offensively. He's got a lot of natural ability. Casey's an interesting one to watch. Elliot Ramos is an interesting one. Like some of these guys, it takes a little longer. And if Ramos has figured it out, he's got physical ability. Like Giants are desperate for some of the power and explosion that he has. And it doesn't mean home run power necessarily, but just sort of the fast twitch athlete stuff that Ramos brings. So, those two guys, I think, have the best chance of all of them. Maybe Blake Sable, too. I mean, Blake, look, for all I say about Bailey, and Bailey's such a high bar, but Blake has gotten so much better that I think you can dream about Sable being your long-term backup catcher, second catcher, swing guy, maybe even a third catcher because he can play left field and do some other things. Like, I don't want to dismiss Blake Sable because I think he's given good at-bats these days. I like Blake. That's kind of a long way of saying it's too early for them to say we're turning it over to the kids. It's a development year. There's too much baseball to be played with the extra playoff spots. They're not out of it. But here's the thing. The Dodgers are here. They're going on this road trip. Then they come back and the Phillies and the Yankees are coming to town. And if they can't get their act together and play better, the decision's going to be made for them by either the end of this month or the middle of June. If they can't play better, then they're in trouble. So I think that's their philosophy. And if it gets to that point, then they will turn it over to some of these young guys and just see what they have. That's not their preference. They still think they can make the playoffs.
Blake Snell scheduled to have one more rehab start before rejoining this rotation. How much of a boost is it going to be for this Giants team to get Snell back? Obviously struggled when he was up here, but the staff itself has been struggling right now, whether it's Logan Webb at times, whether it's Kyle Harrison at times. Keaton Wynn yesterday, he had the cramps. Hopefully it's just a cramp. He's going to get MRIs on that forearm today. But how much of a boost is Blake Snell going to be with this rotation when he comes back, Dave?
Big time. I mean, what have they done? Won one game?
Yeah.
In that spot, since the beginning of the year. Like, I don't know what the exact record is, 1-7 or something like that when that turn comes around. They need him bad. Like, and I didn't part of that is some of the other depth with, Tristan Beck and Alex Cobb not being ready by now. That, I think that's thrown things off a little bit. That shouldn't be an excuse, but I thought they were deeper than this, and I didn't anticipate that spot being so problematic without him. So, yeah, they need him back, and they don't need him perfect yet. They need him close to what they know he can bring. And it was encouraging the other day just watching him. And everybody said, even in the bullpen a couple of days before that, it looked like Blake Snell. It was crisp. It was firm. It was decisive. It looked healthy. So my hopes are high that when we do see him on the next road trip, hopefully, then it's going to look like Blake Snell.
Dave, I want to ask you one baseball question on the way out the door. Dave Flemming with us, Giants broadcaster, the best, at Valhalla right now, ready for the PGA Championship. This is a baseball-y question. My head explodes when I see Camilo Duvall come in to tie ball games in the ninth inning. I like my closer coming in with a lead. That's just me. The repetition and routine are so important for these guys. It frustrates me. The other night, and I know there's things we don't know, but he comes in, it's the bottom of the order, it's the ninth inning of a tie ball game, and 8 pitches. And then he doesn't go back out there for the 10th inning. Now, I know they had the righty-lefty thing going on because you were facing multiple lefties. But, I will not accept that. And I wanted to know what the reasoning was on why Duvall, came out of the game in the 10th inning and, why they continue to do this. They've done this for multiple years. I know baseball people do. Why do we keep throwing the closer into a tie ball game in the 9th inning?
Well, when you're at home, you're never, once it's tied going to the ninth at home, you're never going to have a save situation.
I know
you know that.
I know
you know that. But these closers are motivated by save situations. They are. So you get more of a green light from the players themselves, more buy-in from them in that scenario where they know they're never going to have a save chance. That's part of it. That shouldn't be the ultimate motivator. But, for a lot of these guys, it is. They look at that stat line, they look at the save number. That's what motivates them. So you acknowledge that and say, okay, we're going to try to do our best to make this guy feel as good as he can about how he's doing, and that might be a small part of it. So I think that's one. I think, though, my counter would be in the scenario that you just laid out the other night, like when it's the bottom of the order. Now, look, the bottom of the order has hurt the Giants in these two games.
Yeah.
So it's not like, Bob Melvin, part of it, maybe he's watching that going, well, why do we keep letting Gavin Lux beat us over and over again?
Kiki Hernandez.
Right. That's very, very frustrating. Like, to me, that's the worst part about these two games. Ohtani's going to get you. Betts is going to get you. Freddie Freeman's going to get you. They're good. Don't let the other guys. And the Giants are better than that. And that would really make me frustrated if I were in that clubhouse, that's been a part of the story of these two games. So the scenario where I would kind of agree with you and say is the one that played out the other night. Like, do we have somebody that can go get 7, 8, 9 and save Camilo if we need him for the big boys? Because, one reason why the Giants have been really good in extra innings over the last couple of years with the new rules is Camilo. Like, he is the dream of the guy you have in a strikeout scenario or a ground ball scenario. And he's a big advantage when you get to extra innings, and they didn't have that advantage the other night, and it cost them. It did.
Totally. Especially when you start with the inherited runner at second base. You need a strikeout pop-up in that situation. Well, so anyway, Dave.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'll tell you the other thing that frustrated me. I haven't talked to Taylor Rogers. I don't know that he was necessarily doing this, but it looked like he was kind of pitching around Freddie Freeman. And I think when you get your own automatic runner, the thing that beats you in those games is the multiple run innings.
Yes.
Like the one run inning doesn't usually beat you, or you should feel confident that we're not going to let that beat us. And that makes me mad. Like, don't set up the possibility of a bigger inning by being cute there when you're the home team. Now, there are scenarios where you have to be. It's do or die. But that's not one of them, and I just think you have to have a mindset of being on the attack big time.
Totally.
When you're going to get your own extra runner at second, you can't let a big inning happen, because then that's how you lose those games.
100%. Dave, next week we'll talk about golf and Rory at Valhalla 10 years later and all that.
Tiger with the goatee.
Yeah, Scotty Scheffler, all that. Just have a great week. I'll be listening to you. I miss you, pal, and I know we're both hurting with these Giants right now. Thanks for coming on here.
Thanks, Dave.
I was just walking with Zalatoris, and he was crying on my shoulder, like, oh my God, what's going on? So even people out here are thinking about him.
Oh, well, you're the best, buddy. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, great.
Yep, Dave Flemming, Giants broadcaster, going to be on ESPN for the PGA Championship all weekend.
Will Zalatoris, by